So an Al Jazeera documentary has released footage, and it is shocking. The footage shows undercover protesters who were paid £50,000 to join pro-Palestine marches to make student protesters look bad. Now we have a clip of one of the fake protesters explaining their role from a secret recording.
The protesters are on a fellowship program run by a conservative think tank called the Hoover Institution.
This is actually the first foot soldier activity that I think it's been important to do.
It was basically just like Noah Pollock coming and being like, look, there are these jihadis who basically support suicide bombing, and they're at a campus, and you have to stop them.
So a chance to shout at Arabs?
As we're leaving, we mentioned to our boss yesterday that we're going. She's like, oh yeah, that's mandatory. You need to go. Do you know what my worst nightmare is? I'm actually not kidding. It's a photo of Dion and I together, and we're just like clearly identifiable. And they're like, "Oh, who are these like traitors who sold out to the Jewish conspiracy for money?" I'm like, "We did. We cost $50,000 plus benefits." So they did a really job of getting me excited to show up and protest.
It kind of the way you're putting it kind of sounds a bit like astroturfing.
No. This is AstroTurf. No, this is actually the definition. There's a bus.
What does that mean?
So it's when you set up things.
It's the difference between grassroots and astroturf.
Now this is astonishing. We have a conservative think tank group paying people 50 grand to set up fake protests and to smear the SJP, who are Students for Justice in Palestine. And I'm sure you've seen a whole lot of footage of student protesters at Columbia University who turned out in their thousands to protest the genocide and the subsequent violence through the police to crack down on free speech. Now, there were scenes where university professors who were just walking by at their place of work being forcibly taken down by the police. Now, a couple of days ago, I covered the story of Gideon Falter, who tried to cause a disruption at a Palestine demo in London, and he was accompanied by security people linked to the State of Israel. And I think when people link absolutely everything to the State of Israel, whenever something bad happens, some people say weird stuff like, oh, Israel was behind 9/11, then I think, yeah, that's got to be some kind of anti-Semitic coding beneath it. But the idea that Israel has a lot of influence in the West, I don't know how you can say it's a conspiracy. I don't know how people can openly call you anti-Semitic when it's absolutely true that Israel, a foreign nation, has a level of influence on our politics. There is an Israel lobby that is absolutely a threat to our democracy and other nations. Now, I haven't seen that there's a link between this conservative group who are paying fake protesters and the State of Israel. And because it's unconfirmed, I can't categorically say that it's a fact, but I at all would not be surprised if it was true. Now, I want to show you another clip from the same documentary where these protesters are given strict orders.
If you do happen to speak with any reporters, just stay on message. And what is that message? SJP is a hate group. BDS is a hate movement. The only other thing you probably want to mention is that SJP endorses violence, terrorism, things like that. And you guys are going to be great.
Hey, SJP, what do you think of this?
Woo!
You're great. Resistance? Child suicide bombers?
Real baby killers, these terrorists. They kill women, they kill children, they don't care about anything.
Rape women too, all the time.
So obviously what you saw was a specific order to call the SJP pro-Hamas. I mean, look, these people obviously know they're lying, but they don't care, which tells me that they are aware that this is a genocide. I mean, why would they lie otherwise? But it's more important to stifle criticism of Israel than to stand against the ethnic cleansing of an entire community. Staging fake protests that stand up against anti-Semitism only trivializes anti-Semitism. It's dangerous because it calls into question what's real and what isn't. And we absolutely do not want to downplay anti-Semitism or those who are honestly fighting against it. But what you saw in those clips is what is known as astroturfing, where the idea is to hijack movements and fuel skepticism. And I asked myself, has this been the case for almost every single Palestine demo since October 7th? Maybe before, and we just don't know. Now, there have been many examples of interference from a foreign state, and the media and our politicians are selectively angry about it. Now, the US is about to ban TikTok because they're worried about spying from China. I mean, how many times have you heard Russian interference in our elections? Some people go as far to say that they caused Brexit, which, in my opinion, I think is nonsense. Oh, but when Mossad-trained security people are in London trying to disrupt demos, or there's a plausible link between the State of Israel paying people in the US to go undercover and infiltrate students protesting a genocide, what's that you hear? It's silence. Having good relationships with other nations is one thing. Having them interfere with our democracy is another. I mean, even Netanyahu astonishingly came out and condemned the student protest and called them Nazis. I mean, You are the one committing mass murder of a whole community because of their race. And this piece of shit has the audacity to call peaceful protesters Nazis. It is insane. When you have extreme police brutality on display against peaceful protesters, you're essentially witnessing state violence on behalf of another nation, which is Israel. And I am sick of hearing the right talk about free speech and how they're always being cancelled, because they think they can say all manner of bigoted things, face repercussions, and then are given an even bigger platform to moan about it, whilst the real threat to freedom of speech is this. These students are putting their education and future jobs on the line, not to mention their health, at the hands of an overly militarised police force, because they are standing up for innocent Palestinians. And it's also worth mentioning that Al Jazeera documentary was blocked in the US. But this won't go back in the box. Since October 7th, people's consciousness have been raised and are aware of not just the collective punishment as a response from that day, but more and more people are seeing what the whole conflict has been about from the beginning. And history shows you can try your best to shut down protests, to try and police mass movements, and every single time, it doesn't work. Ultimately, the people win, and the authoritarian response only fuels that fire. So we should be encouraged by those brave young people in the US, and to know we will win in the end. It's just unfortunate that it's such a long path to peace. If you enjoyed this video, make sure you like and drop a comment. It's good for the algorithm, and I'm interested in what you have to say. If you're not already subscribed, please do, and hit the notification bell. You can also support this channel by becoming a member for 99p per month, and if you're feeling a little more generous, then you can support us on Patreon for £3 or £5 per month. This channel for a while has been uploading every single day, and it's quite a lot of work that is still voluntary and scheduled around my paid work. But I have so much ambition, expect in the future to see more variety in content, such as interviews and Vox Pops. But I want this to be a fully fledged media organisation where not only is this my full-time job, but to have multiple people working for Turn Left. I like to see a live show in the future, more content that delves into culture, history, and much more. But that can only be done if there's money. So please, if you can, support us in any way that's in your capacity. And thank you to existing members, subscribers, and patrons. See you next time.